Kuzangpola. Welcome to Bhutan e-learning program. I am Uma Acharya from Babesa Higher Secondary School. This is a biology lesson for Key Stage 5, that is for class 11 and 12 students. So I hope all the class 11 and 12 students are paying attention for this lesson. All right, now I would like to start my lesson with some very common questions which you might have heard from the people around, or you might have thought about yourself sometimes. So let's have a look at the questions. Have you ever heard of people talking about kidney failure or kidney stones? Have you ever wondered why kidney-related diseases are increasing in Bhutan? Can we survive if our kidneys fail? So these are just some questions I feel that sometime or the other you must have thought about in your day-to-day life. All right. Now, in order to answer these questions, I think it's very important for us to know about a very important system in our body, which is called urinary system. So today my topic for you all is human urinary system. By the end of this lesson, we should be able to identify the parts of the urinary system, explain the steps of urine formation, and relate lifestyle to maintain healthy urinary system. All right, now let's first proceed with the question, what constitute the urinary system? Of course, this may be very simple for you because you have learnt in your law classes about the urinary system. Nevertheless, let's recapitulate once what are the main parts that form the urinary system. So all of you may be excited to tell me already that the very important part of our urinary system are the kidneys, a pair of kidneys that we have, one on the right and one on the left, which are located in the lower abdomen of our body. Then we have a pair of tubes called ureters, which connect the kidneys to the urinary bladder. Their function is to carry urine formed in the kidney to the urinary bladder. So the next part is the urinary bladder, which collects and stores the urine. The urinary bladder opens outside through a tube called urethra, which is used to discharge or release the urine out of our body once the urinary bladder gets filled. So these are parts of our urinary system. But the urinary system is supplied with blood all the time. Then only the kidney can produce the urine. So we have very important blood vessel which enters the kidney, that is the renal artery, which carries the blood with waste, enters into the kidney, and then we have the renal vein which leaves the kidney carrying the blood from which the waste has been removed. Okay. So basically these are the parts that form the urinary system in our body. Now let's go little beyond the system. In order to understand the process of urine formation, we have to know the internal parts or the structures of the kidney. So this is a diagram which shows the longitudinal section of the kidney. Now, if you look inside, let's say you have taken a kidney and then you have cut it longitudinally. So this is what it looks like. And of course, there are many parts that we will be able to see, but we will be focusing on only the parts that are important to us in order to understand the formation of urine. So the two main regions of the kidney that we see inside are the renal cortex, the outer region, and the renal medulla, which is the inner region. And especially renal medulla is made up of a number of pyramid-shaped structures which are called renal pyramids. Now let's imagine that we are taking a cross section of cortex and the renal medulla and then further observe under the microscope. then you see a structure there which is actually involved in the process of urine formation, and this structure is called as nephron, which is also referred as kidney tubule or renal tubule. So, if you look at this structure, of course, it looks quite complex, but need not worry, we will be looking step by step, so that the whole structure will be clear for you. Since this part that forms the whole structure of the kidney, nephron is referred as the structural and functional unit of kidney. So, in a way there are about 1 to 1.25 million nephrons that make one kidney. So, you can imagine the size of nephron, which is very, very small. In fact, it is microscopic in nature, we can see only under the microscope. Yet, the function it carries out is very, very important. All right, now let us go through each part of the nephron, so that it will be easy for us to understand the process of urine formation later. The first part of the nephron is a cup-shaped structure which is called the Bowman's capsule. This Bowman's capsule holds a network of capillaries called as the glomerulus. So, this glomerulus is actually formed by the blood vessel which enters into the Bowman's capsule carrying the blood with waste, and inside the Bowman's capsule it divides into number of capillaries which is called as the glomerulus, and again the glomerulus will combine to form one blood vessel which will be going out of the Bowman's capsule, and that is called as the efferent arteriole. So, in the Bowman's capsule we have the efferent arteriole which enters, then forms glomerulus, and the efferent arteriole that goes out of the Bowman's capsule. And the efferent arteriole does not end here abruptly, but later it will again go around the whole length of the nephron, which we will be seeing in the later part. The Bowman's capsule continues as a tubular structure, and it forms a highly coiled structure which is called the proximal convoluted tubule, or in short we refer as PCT. The PCT continues downward, forming a long U-shaped structure called loop of Henle, which further continues to form another coiled part called distal convoluted tubule, or in short DCT, and finally DCT connects the common duct called as collecting duct, where urine formed will be finally collected. So, these are the main parts of the nephron. And remember earlier we said that the kidney has the cortex region and the medulla region. So, if you look at this structure of the nephron and then relate to the cortex and the medulla, the Bowman's capsule, glomerulus, PCT, DCT are located in the cortex region of the kidney, while the collecting duct and the loop of Henle are located in the medulla region of the kidney. I hope you are able to visualize that. Okay, now let us look at how urine is formed, which is the main part of our topic. Okay. Now, in order to understand the formation of urine in the nephron or in the kidney, we will watch a video. I hope you are excited, and please pay attention to the video because the whole process of urine formation will be explained in this video.
Urine is formed by three processes in the nephron, the functional part of the kidney. In glomerular filtration, the glomerulus filters water and certain dissolved substances from the plasma of the blood. This results in increased blood pressure, which forces the plasma-like fluid from the blood into Bowman's capsule and then into the tubules. The fluid or filtrate include many positive and negative ions of many elements. The filtrate does not have any proteins or red blood cells, which are too large to pass through the capillary membrane. In tubular reabsorption, substances are transported out of the tubules and back into the blood of the peritubular capillaries. Reabsorption takes place in the proximal tubule, loop of Henle, and distal tubule. The major part of reabsorption occurs in the proximal tubule. About 15% of water is reabsorbed back into the bloodstream. The process is regulated by the hormones vasopressin and aldosterone. In tubular secretion, substances move from the plasma in the peritubular capillaries back into the filtrate in the renal tubules. The proximal tubule secretes creatinine and histamine, and the distal tubule and collecting duct secrete potassium into the filtrate. All the tubules actively secrete hydrogen ions to regulate the pH of the body fluids. The filtrate is now urine. Urine is about 95% water with a balanced urea, uric acid, amino acids, and electrolytes. The daily production is about 0.6 to 2.5 liters per day. Urine production below 30 milliliters per hour indicates possible kidney failure.
I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm sure you must have been able to comprehend the important part that you were required to know from the video. Okay, based on the video, let's see how much you have been able to comprehend from there. I have a question here, that is, what are the 3 steps of urine formation and in which part of the nephron does each step occur? I am sure you are excited to answer because it was very clearly mentioned in the video. Are you ready? Okay. The first step is ultrafiltration, or also called as glomerular filtration. And where does it occur? It occurs in the glomerulus. So, basically if you look at the process of ultrafiltration, this is how it happens, where the afferent arteriole has a wide diameter entering into the Bowman's capsule. The glomerulus is a network of capillaries, and the efferent arteriole has narrow diameter. So, because of the difference in the diameter of these blood vessels entering and leaving the Bowman's capsule, a pressure is developed in the blood which forces the plasma and the dissolved substances to filter out of the glomerulus into the Bowman's capsule. So, whatever is being forced out through filtration is called glomerular filtrate. So, this is the process of ultrafiltration that takes place in the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. So, in fact, the Bowman's capsule collects the glomerular filtrate that is formed by ultrafiltration. So, this is the first major step of urine formation. The second step, you may be already knowing, that is called selective reabsorption, that takes place in the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting duct. So, in fact, we can say that the reabsorption takes place throughout the length of the nephron, but remember, maximum will take place in the PCT, that is the proximal convoluted tubule, in which whatever has been filtered out during the ultrafiltration is not supposed to be lost through the urine. So, our body will be losing many things that are important in the filtrate. So, that has to be regained by the body. So, this process called selective reabsorption will help to regain the substances that are still needed by our body, and it is not the waste that has to be removed, such as sodium, potassium, bicarbonate ions. This has to be reabsorbed. The third important part of the urine formation is the tubular secretion, which is mostly again taking place in the PCT and the DCT. And basically again in the tubular secretion, what is happening is, during the ultrafiltration, everything is not being removed. There are certain substances, toxic substances, which are harmful to our body, but they are not being filtered in the glomerulus. So, this is still in the blood. So, that has to be removed from our body. So, that is why again tubular secretion will take place, so that these unwanted substances will be given back to the urine. Okay? So, in a way, the reabsorption and the secretion consolidate the process of filtration. So, finally, it has to happen in such a way that only the waste has to be removed, and what is needed by the body has to be in our body. Okay. So, just to summarize, So, the first step, the glomerular filtration or ultrafiltration that take place in the Bowman's capsule, tubular reabsorption that take place in the PCT, then tubular secretion which is mostly happening in the distal convoluted tubule, and finally, the urine formed is excreted through the urethra. Now, beside this, there is also another very important mechanism that takes place in the nephron, and that is called counter current mechanism. This is very important. Now, I would just like you to think like how often you go for urination, how often you release your urine. I am sure it is not after every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, isn't it? Okay? So, what happens? The urine that is produced by our body will be released in such a way that we are not losing lot of fluid from our body. It is concentrated form. Had you been producing too dilute urine, you would have to release urine so often, okay? And that is not happening. And that is because of a process or a mechanism called as counter current mechanism. Now, let us see what is this counter current mechanism.
The kidneys can conserve water. The only way that the body can move water is by moving sodium chloride first. You have to create a concentration gradient so that water can move by osmosis in the direction of the highest concentration. The loop of Henle creates a hyperosmotic region in the medulla of the kidney, acting as a sponge, drawing water out from the collecting duct, if the duct becomes permeable under the influence of vasopressin, also known as antidiuretic hormone or ADH. The ascending limb of the loop of Henle, which is impermeable to water, pumps out sodium chloride via sodium-potassium chloride cotransporters from the urine into the blood in the vasa recta. Blood in the vasa recta carries this sodium chloride into the medulla, making the entire region hyperosmotic. The blood, which is moving in the opposite direction to the urine in the loop of Henle, then ascends parallel to the descending limb of the loop of Henle. This descending limb is water permeable, allowing water to move out of it into the vasa recta. This entry of water into the ascending vasa recta reduces the osmotic potential of the blood to normal as it returns to the body. The interplay between the loop of Henle and the vasa recta is called the countercurrent multiplier. Essentially, the medulla acts as a sponge, retaining and releasing water to address the water requirements of the body. ADH acts on the collecting duct to make it permeable to water, allowing water to move into the hyperosmotic medulla, where it is drawn up by the vasa recta and returned to the body.
It basically happening in two parts of the nephron and the capillaries that goes around the nephron. So, the main parts are the loop of Henle, remember the parts of the nephron, and the other is the network of capillaries that go around the loop of Henle. So, here if you look at the flow of the filtrate in the loop of Henle and the blood in the capillaries, they flow in opposite direction. Okay, for instance, let us look at only in the loop of Henle, the filtrate after it is passed from the Bowman's capsule goes through the PCT and then through the loop of Henle. Loop of Henle has two parts. One is the descending limb and the other one is the ascending limb. So, when the filtrate is passed through descending limb, that goes in downward direction, while it goes through ascending limb, it goes in upward direction. So, as a result, here the filtrate pass in opposite direction. So, that is why it is in a counter current direction. Similarly, in the vasa recta also, the flow of the blood happens in two opposite directions. So, because of this, what happens? There is a process by which lot of movement of ions will take place between the blood, between the fluid that is produced as glomerular filtrate and the medullary region. So, here because of this countercurrent mechanism, it helps to maintain a difference in concentration gradient between the glomerular filtrate and the renal medulla. And when this happens, it helps to reabsorb the water that is being passed in the form of urine. So, if our urine is very dilute, it will help to reabsorb the excess water that is being lost due to the concentration that is developed in the fluid that is present in the tissues in the medullary region. Okay. So, because of this, finally, when the urine processes or passes through the collecting duct, it is in concentrated form compared to the fluid that is present in our body. So, this countercurrent mechanism is the one that helps to retain the water in our body, and in fact, it is regulated by a hormone called as antidiuretic hormone ADH, which will control and see that the required amount of water is being absorbed, and then the urine does not become too dilute. So, this is the mechanism that helps to maintain the concentration of the blood, the concentration of the fluid in the tissues in the body, and the concentration of the urine. Thereby, we are able to excrete the urine with the right concentration, only containing the waste substances. Okay. So, basically we know now that the main function of the kidney is to produce the urine and excrete the nitrogenous waste that is produced by different metabolic reactions in our body. But along with the excretion of nitrogenous waste, it also helps to carry out many other functions in order to maintain the overall homeostasis in our body. So, some of the other functions are: kidney helps in regulation of fluid volume or osmotic pressure, especially through the process of reabsorption and tubular secretion. It helps in regulation of electrolytes and salt concentration, again that happens in the nephron during reabsorption and secretion. It helps in osmoregulation and homeostasis, that is to maintain the proper concentration of fluid in the body. It helps to maintain the pH of the body fluid and the blood, which has to be always maintained in normal manner, so that blood will be able to function properly. The regulation of the blood pressure, and it also kidney also plays a role in producing a hormone called erythropoietin, which helps in the production of RBCs. So, these are the overall functions of our kidney. I am sure looking at the function, you must have by now realized how important are these kidneys in our body. Okay? So, they are not just excreting the waste from our body, but they are helping in maintaining many other functions. So, thereby it is very important that we have very healthy kidney in our body. Now, just for your information, to make you aware of some of the causes of kidney diseases, like there are many factors of course, but these are some of the common factors that can cause kidney diseases, and if you are aware of these, I hope that you will be able to take care of your kidney and always maintain a healthy kidney. So, these are like diabetes, you may be knowing disease, it is a lifestyle disease, okay, and if person is suffering from diabetes, he or she is likely to have kidney problem later. High blood pressure, heart diseases, obesity, I hope none of you are obese, you shouldn't be. Family history, sometimes it can be genetic. Our body is a machine, like any other machine, you know, it will deteriorate in the long run. And if you are a smoker or even if you take alcohol, these are some of the causes that can cause damage to our kidneys. Okay. Okay, I am sure having learnt about the functions and the importance of the kidney, you would always like to have healthy kidney. So, in order to have healthy kidney, you will agree with me that we need to have good diet habit. Okay, healthy foods has to be taken, and these are, of course, there can be many other foods, but I have just taken the common foods that are available in our country. So, these are very important, and above all, let me remind you that water is very important for the functioning of the kidney, okay, starting from filtration till the final process of formation of urine. Water plays a very vital role. So, if you want to have healthy kidney, remember you take enough water. When I say this, you should not that you keep on drinking water, you have to have a limit, but make sure that it is enough for your body. Let us also have a look at some of the foods that are not good for our body. Of course, alcoholic drinks, I feel that none of you would be taking this. Anyway, just a reminder, caffeine, seeds, different seeds are and nuts are good, but not too much. Sweetened drinks, some of you may be liking it so much, but you need to have a limit. Any food that contains too much of salt, red meat, and lot of dairy products. Okay. When I say this again, remember please that I am not saying that you shouldn't be taking these foods at all. You can take, but not too much. Okay. Too much of everything is not good for our body. So, please keep this in mind just for your information. So, with this I have come to the end of my lesson. I hope you enjoyed it and you could take something very important, especially related to our urinary system, and I hope that you must have realized how important are our kidneys. And remember, we had some questions in the beginning of the lesson. So, by now you must have analyzed like what could be the answer for those questions. Okay. With this, I would like to present you with some takeaway questions for you, which you can work later and find out the answer. First one is explain the process of urine formation in the nephron. This I am sure we will do it very easily and very fast. Already you must be excited to write because this is what we have focused in my whole lesson. Then question 2 is, can you survive with one kidney if another one is damaged? And you could explain. Okay. Probably you can look for resources through the internet or some other sources. And third question for you is, kidney transplantation is one of the commonest forms of organ replacement. What is your view on kidney transplantation from religious perspective and biological perspectives? Okay. You must have heard about kidney transplantation happening in our country, but I think it has lot of issues related to that. Okay. So, you could just have these questions in your mind and then find the answer so that it will help you know more about the urinary system. So, that is it. Thank you so much for watching my lesson. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will be looking forward again in my next lesson. Thank you.